I get to do one by myself today. Whee! I'm making kimchi. It's a staple in our household. We do eat a lot of Korean food. It's quite literally our family's comfort food, I would say. But kimchi is a staple for us at all times, and we like it on hot dog, hamburger, pizza. I think I've even put it in grilled cheese and eggs. It is just a common food for us. Insanely good probiotic, and it is a fermented food as well. Bought this fermenting crock while I was living in New Zealand. Started to make kimchi while I was down there. Took a 4-hour bus ride to actually pick up the ingredients for the kimchi, and learned all about using the type of fermenting crock. So there are some weights in here, and then the lid actually, as you can see, doesn't quite fit the top like you would normally see on something. This is because it is a water seal fermenting crock. So I place water in here up at the top. It lets the gas out as it's fermenting because it's going to bubble, and the microbiomes are going to start eating away at some of the sugars and starting the fermentation process, but it doesn't allow any sort of air molecules in, and so then it's less likely to get mold. There are also some weights inside of here. I place the weights on top of the kimchi prior to fermenting, and this weighs it down and keeps it under the liquid. Most Korean families have their own way of making kimchi, and over the years I've kind of made the kimchi that suits my family. Predominantly, it is a very heavy ginger and heavy garlic, and light on the spice, not as bright red as some of the store-bought kimchis, but we like to have it nice and fermented, so sometimes I'll let it go for 2 to 3 weeks, but we have been known to also eat it at 1 week. The next thing are our ingredients that I'll go over. So I predominantly use suchoy as my cabbage. I have used green cabbage in the past and made it like a sauerkraut kimchi, but this is our Merissa made kimchi that I normally do. So it is suchoy that I've cut up into pieces. I've also pre-salted this and drained off the excess water that came from using the salt to remove the water. I've rinsed it also. It's a bit on the salty side today, so we might have to make some amendments. But my family likes ours with daikon radish, carrots, green onion. We are a ginger forward family, so I make mine very gingery, lots of garlic. And one of the last ingredients that we use specifically is a salted fermented shrimp. This just adds a level of flavor to the whole kimchi. I will probably do some rinsing of this just because my suchoy is still a little bit salty. And of course, gochugaru, which are the red pepper flakes. We don't do ours completely red spicy, and I make mine not completely traditional. So yeah. Ginger, green onions, daikon, red pepper flakes, the gochugaru, and then the fermented shrimp. I only added a little bit of the fermented shrimp. It definitely adds a level of flavor that is necessary. Like I said before, I don't make the rice paste. Normally there is a rice paste that you'll put to mix everything together, but I find for what my family likes, we just like it very much like this, very plain. But it turns out absolutely fabulous, and everyone who's tried my kimchi has liked my kimchi. It's a good kimchi. So now the next bit is I'm going to mix all of this, and then I am going to pour off the boiled water and vinegar that have been sitting in the fermenting crock. I do this as a practice to ensure that there isn't any bacteria left behind that is harmful, and just gives me a fresh start whenever I'm fermenting something. I do this also with kombucha and a couple of other ferments, is always make sure that the fermenting crock or whatever you were putting it into has been either sterilized or really cleaned well. So I like to do that boiled water and vinegar prior to anything else. So yeah. You can see it is quite full in there. And what I'm going to do quickly prior to putting the weights in is I'm going to get some paper towel and just clean all of the edges here. You want this as clean as possible to ensure that, again, no harmful bacteria, the wrong kind of bacteria, is getting in and causing it to mold, and all of the gases can actually leave and allow the good bacteria to ferment the food. So I usually use a wet one quickly first. For some of the spices, I find that the red pepper flakes are like the glitter of cooking. It just gets everywhere. That's true of all spices, personally for me. Okay, the next bit is to put the weights in. So I have these 2 ceramic weights, and they just go in. Sometimes you have to push them down a little bit first. Much like sauerkraut, you do want this packed super tightly. It smells like ginger and garlic and onions in here. So pop those both in. Final step is to pop the water into the water seal and pop the lid on.
Smells good.